stone in all of its many forms. Before we found fire, we had stone. We sheltered in caves formed, tools and hunting weapons we shaped. We chiselled and painted, and therein we had art. Monuments we created, whereby we celebrated the living and the dead. We stacked and piled it high upon itself, and great keeps and castles offered us protection. And we climbed high atop that stone to study our tracks, where we had been and where we had yet to be. And there were those amongst us, in the people, who sought it out in the glens and on the hillsides. They wrapped flesh and blood around it and hoisted it high into the air above their heads. And in this embrace, they touched the eternal stone, and it became personal.
The Glen has a fascinating history of Roman occupation, cattle drovers, marauders, poets and artists. Among them Robert Burns and William Wordsworth, who wrote, "In this still place, remote from men, sleeps Ossian in the narrow glen." At the northern end of the glen is Clach Ossian, or Ossian Stone, where the River Armand and the present road almost meet. This massive 8 foot high and 7 feet wide monolith is reputed to be the burial place of the legendary Gallic bard Ossian. There are a small number of heavy rocks presently placed on top of Ossian Stone. These may be due to the site being used as a place to test one's strength, a rite of passage common in a number of sites throughout Perthshire and across the Highlands. Not until a boy could lift and deposit a very heavy rock onto a boulder could they enter manhood and be worthy enough to become a chief or leader. The Saddle and Mare is comprised of 2 parts. The Mare, being the monolithic base, is angular in appearance. It slopes at an angle approximately 30 degrees from south to north. The lower edge of the slope is over 5 feet above ground level, and it slopes up to just over 7 feet in height. The sloped surface is flat and smooth. On the ground beside the Mare can be found the Saddle. The Saddle is a stone which weighs approximately 200 pounds, and it is marked and scraped by the number of times it has been lifted onto the plinth. The act of lifting the rock onto the plinth is called saddling the mare, or literally putting the saddle on the horse. The glen was a haven for the Caterans, thieves who would descend upon the unsuspecting drovers and demand tribute from them. It may have been these Caterans who popularised Saddle in the Mare. Clach Cuaid Fia is Gaelic for manhood stone. Lifting these stones was a common practice throughout northern Europe for testing one's strength. When a boy could lift one of these stones, he was welcomed into manhood. The Cateran were formerly Galloglass, a class of elite mercenary warriors who were principally members of the Norse Gaelic clans of Scotland between the mid-13th century and late 16th century. They were fit and strong, and training with stones would have not been an unusual practice for them. One of the Cateran's caves can clearly be seen on the eastern flank of the glen. In this still place, remote from men, sleeps Ossian in the narrow glen. In this still place, where murmurs on, but one meek streamlet, only one, he sang of battles and the breath of stormy war and violent death, and should, methinks, when all was past, have rightfully been laid at last, where rocks were rudely heaped and rent, as by a spirit turbulent.